Welcome back to Dice and Demos, the game where we make
algorithmically generated music
the analog way. Coming to you from Fargo, North Dakota. I'm here on work, kind of bored in my hotel room, so I thought I would make you guys a tune. Last time I let the dice decide my time signature. It proved challenging. It was in 5/4. I don't feel like doing it today. So I've made a little chart. This is what you often do in Dungeons and Dragons when you don't want your players to have total freedom. I've taken away just a little bit of my freedom and let the chart decide my BPM. So that means it's time for our first roll. 6. That is our fastest tempo. So we're writing at 160 BPM. You can see it's 6 right there. Oh no. The thing to do at 160 BPM is obviously drum and bass. And fortunately, I keep a MIDI chart of the almond break handy. And so later we're going to use some dice to decide how we're going to structure the song. But for now, I need to record the fundamental elements of my beat. I've heard those referred to as the thump, the pop, and the sizzle. We're going to look around the hotel room and find some sounds to sample, and then I'm going to program those into these various bars. Now that we got plenty of sounds, let's hear what that sounds like on that amen break pattern. Our next roll is going to be to determine our mode. So right here I got our handy chart. This is 1 is Ionian, major, 2 is Dorian, 3 is Phrygian, 4 is Lydian, 5 is Mixolydian, 6 is Aeolian, which is minor, and then down in hell we have Locrian. And if you need to ask why Locrian is in hell, well, let's just say the allegations are troubling. Whenever I roll these ones for the mode, I always hope that it's a 1 or a 6. It's a 3. It's a 3, guys. That is Phrygian. And actually, I've been practicing my Phrygian dominant scale recently, so I think I'm actually going to do that. The Phrygian dominant mode is very badass and sounds a little bit like this. So the way I'm going to determine our starting note is I'm going to pick between E, which is
0,
and E, which is 12. Roll 12-sided dice, and that's how we're going to decide our starting note. It is a 2, so that is our second fret is F sharp. Now I'm going to be doing a bunch of rolling. I'm going to be rolling the A, B, and C part of our song, and just in case one of these isn't usable, I'm making a D part as well. So for each of these, I'm going to be rolling our 8-sided dice, and that will determine which note of the scale that we're going to be using for our basis of the chord. Each measure is going to have 4 chords. We're just keeping it real simple on that. 4, 8, 2, 3, 5, 8, 8, 8, 6, 2, 5, 8, 6, 3, 5. Honestly, guys, it's getting kind of late, so I'm just going to sample my guitar, and I'm going to arpeggiate it, and we're going to make chords happen, and then that will give me enough to work with to come back to this project. Movie magic! As you can see, I am back in the studio. I didn't mention when I was at the hotel, the thing I sampled to make the bass was my harmonica just pitched way down, so I'm going to record a couple more harmonica samples for flavor. When I ran the guitar through the arpeggio, it sounded pretty good, but I also want to do a piano note. And then just because drum and bass is kind of based on reggae, and I think it'll like make it flow a little more smoothly, I'm going to put some guitar chords on the 2 and the 4 to kind of fill out the sound. The other thing that a lot of drum and bass and like early jungle tracks have is like some British mad lad just shouting something in the background. And so I'm gonna say, top of my head when I'm not dead yet. The other cool thing that happened since I got back from Fargo was I went to a free group that I go to every month for people who use Ableton. Everybody does some show and tell, shows off what they're working on. And then there's usually a educational segment with a DJ producer. This time it was a guy who's in an awesome local band called Phrygian, and then he also is a producer that goes under Pathfinder and does drum and bass stuff. So I got so many tips about producing drum and bass and like finding little compression tricks within the audio. And I also got some really positive feedback from people who saw an early version of the song. And so I'm really excited to show you what I have been working on. Here it is.